have any stories where you've done that? Listen to God's voice and reached out to someone?
Yes.
Who'd like to share?
I feel like the biggest one was, it's kind of a long story. I'll try to shorten it. But basically, I went to high school with someone, and I didn't know them very well, but they asked me a question. They said, what do you think the most important thing in life is? And they asked it randomly one day. I had never even really talked to them. And like I said before, I was so shy in high school that I was like, and I knew, I was like, I need to talk about Jesus. But I was like trying to think what to say, and he was like, just think about it. Like, and so he just moved on. And then the next year I had a class with him, and literally the Lord kept being like, you're still supposed to answer that question. I need you to answer that question. And I was like, Lord, I'm not answering that question. And so I didn't. And I remember walking out of the last day of senior year, and I saw him, and I just heard God say, please answer that question. And I was like, God, I can't. Like, and I didn't. And so about a year later, the Lord had just grown my boldness a lot. And he had brought that back to my mind, and I had prayed, like, if I'm supposed to answer that question, let me see him. And I had no idea where he was. Yeah. And so I had gone to coffee with a friend that I hadn't seen in months, and I was dropping her off at her house, or at her apartment, and this car pulls up in front of us, and he gets out of the car and walks inside. And I was like, and I just prayed within weeks that the Lord would answer that question. And
did the panic lights start coming off in your head?
I was like, no, because I knew what God was asking me to, and I did not want to do it. But I literally like took some time, prayed, and then I walked up, knocked on his door. It's like, I don't know if you remember me, but we went to high school together. You asked me this question like 2 years ago, and God has not let me forget, and I need to answer this question to you. And so I basically was like, this is the question. He was like, I actually remember asking you that. And I just shared the gospel. I was like, it's Jesus. Like, that's the most important thing in life. And he's just like staring at me. And then he goes, I don't know if you remember yourself like I remember you, but you're not the same. And I was like, I'm not. I was like, this is what Jesus does. And so it was such a cool opportunity. And I was so scared to do that, because I'm literally going to knock on someone's door.
Yes.
Like, but I think
terrifying.
It's so cool how like good God is. Like, God loves him enough to chase after him and to like use me to not let me forget that. And to continue to call even after I was disobedient, you know, like he gave me that opportunity again, even though I told him no so many times, and allowed me to step into that. And so it's just cool how sometimes we'll tell him no so many times, but the second we're like, okay, I want to say yes, give me the chance, he does it. And just how much he loved him to like continue to chase him down. Like, that's such a beautiful picture of what God does for all of us.
It's like a relentless pursuit to keep putting that on your mind and on your mind and on your mind. I mean, that he cared that much. I mean, you know, that's how much he cares for all of us. It's so cool.
For sure.